Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into
Car
it.
owners should be aware of the serious threat posed by corrosion. These rust spots, which initially appear as small dots, gradually grow and turn into entire areas. It is not always the case that the body is treated with high-quality metal protection during the production phase. The task of car manufacturers is to create a car that will normally serve the entire warranty period. What happens next is a secondary issue. Companies are interested in people buying new cars more often. That is why modern cars are not designed for a especially long operation. But if you make a little effort to monitor the condition of the body, its service life can be significantly increased. Since the main problem of body metal is the resulting corrosion, it is required to necessarily carry out anti-corrosion treatment of the car. For these purposes, there is a rich variety of special means. But their choice should be approached as competently as possible and also applied in accordance with the requirements of the manufacturer himself. Why it is necessary. Metal surfaces are subject to corrosion when exposed to external aggressive factors. Water, air, moisture, mechanical damage, and a number of other components gradually lead to the fact that rust marks are formed on different parts of the vehicle body. To avoid their appearance and further spread, you need a special anti-corrosion protection of the body for almost every car. High-quality compositions ensure the preservation of the appearance of the car and the integrity of the metal for 3 to 5 years. Repeated treatment in 2 to 3 years will only increase the service life of the metal. When coating the car with anti-rust agents, a barrier is created that prevents oxidizing agents from contacting the metal, hence the anti-corrosion effect. Some people ignore the recommendations to apply anti-corrosion protection at regular intervals. Others use compositions, but buy cheap, unsuitable products, or simply do not follow the technology of treatment. And many make the same mistake, treating only areas with visible traces of rust. In fact, it is better to apply the product to the entire surface to maximize the effect. There are at least 3 reasons why you should think about applying rust preventative to your own car. Natural negative effects on the car. This includes the climate and not the most favorable weather. It is because of these that the body of the vehicle mainly suffers. Components such as dirt, ice, gravel, sand, and snow aggressively affect the metal. The underbody of the vehicle suffers the most. Various debris and small stones fly from under the wheels and destroy the metal surface, even if a protective layer is applied from the factory. The protection or paint coating peels off, condensation penetrates inside, which entails the first traces of rust. The metal gradually deteriorates as corrosion actively spreads throughout the body without proper maintenance. Fatigue. Metal has a property called fatigue. When the machine is used for a long time, it is affected by a number of negative factors. Therefore, gradually the metal loses its original strength, becomes less resistant to various destructive processes. Oxidation begins, and rust is formed. Here it is absolutely necessary to carry out treatment. And it is better to do it in advance, for preventive purposes, while corrosion has not yet begun to actively manifest itself. You protect the body from further destruction, prolonging the life of your vehicle. Money. If you do not keep track of the condition of the body in time, the formed rust centers will require a solid financial investment in repairs. Those who are concerned about the money issue should realize that it is much more profitable to carry out anti-corrosion treatment, literally one time in 3 to 4 years, than then give hundreds of dollars to try to restore the body. The benefits of anti-corrosion treatment are beyond any doubt. Here, rather, there is a question of consciousness of the car owner, who should really understand what can lead to the formation of even a small rust center. If you plan to use your vehicle not 2 to 3 years after purchase in a car dealership, but much longer, the first anti-corrosion preventive treatment is better to carry out already on 2 to 3 years from the beginning of operation. Buying a used car, you should apply anti-corrosion at once. Varieties of corrosion. Not everyone knows, but currently there are about 20 different types of corrosion. Not all of them concern the metal body of the car. Therefore, it is worth considering those situations that can potentially face car owners. Non-electrolytic. It mainly affects oil and fuel automotive systems. Electrolytic. The main reason for the appearance of such rust is the prolonged stagnation of moisture on metal surfaces. Gas. It affects mufflers, exhaust pipes, chamfers on the plates of exhaust valves, which are located directly inside the combustion chamber. Corrosion under voltage. From the name, it is clear that such rust can appear on areas that are subjected to serious stress. Contact type. Here the difference in potentials of metals that are in contact with each other plays its role. Slotted. It occurs in hard-to-reach areas, in cracks and gaps, where moisture stagnates and comes into contact with oxygen, which provokes the beginning of oxidative processes. Atmospheric variety can appear if the vehicle was improperly transported, operated, or simply stored in unsuitable conditions. Biological. There is even biocorrosion, a feature of which is the appearance as a result of microorganisms. Structural. This type of rust appears after poor quality repairs, in which welded equipment was used. Mechanical. The most common variety. It is formed because of the impact on metal surfaces from pebbles, gravel, small debris, and other hard and abrasive particles that are abundant on our roads. Regardless of its type, corrosion always remains extremely dangerous for the vehicle. Therefore, such pests must be dealt with. But it should be done competently and thoughtfully, choosing only high-quality and effective means. To anti-corrosion treatment of the underbody of your car gave the expected result. Carefully approach the issue of buying protection. It has special requirements, ignoring which is strongly discouraged. Otherwise, you risk wasting money on the purchase of Anti-Corrosion, as well as time for its application. Read also, what are the methods of fighting against corrosion and how to use them correctly? Requirements for anticorrosives. It is important to realize that rust comes in different forms, and therefore, it is simply necessary to have increased and strict requirements for anticorrosive agents. If the anti-corrosion coating of the car will not meet certain parameters, the owner of the vehicle itself can face unpleasant consequences. The main requirements for anticorrosives are the following points. Environmentally friendly. High-quality compositions from leading manufacturers do not contain components that pose at least a potential threat to human health or the environment. This does not mean that you can safely use mastics in food. It is categorically not worth doing so. But after the application of environmentally friendly anti-corrosion, no harm is done. Frost resistance. The climate in each region is diverse. In some of them, winter is characterized by extremely low temperatures. Not all anti-cers can withstand such a load. And since corrosion often shows its activity in winter due to increased humidity and aggressive reagents on the roads, without protection, in this period cannot do without. Therefore, you should choose only frost-resistant compositions that can retain their properties and characteristics even at extremely low temperatures. Plasticity and elasticity. If the anti-cer forms just a hard crust after application, its long service life is hardly worth counting on. The means is quickly covered with cracks, begins to gradually deteriorate, crumble due to vibrations. In high-quality and effective anti-corrosion, add plasticizers and other components that provide protection. Plasticity. Activity. This refers to the ability of anti-corrosion compounds to actively resist corrosion that has already occurred. Some means are extremely effective in terms of prevention, but not all of them cope with the already formed areas of metal affected by rust. Resistance to abrasives. Dirt, sand, small stones will constantly hit the metal surfaces of the machine. The underbody suffers especially badly. If the anti-cer will not have resistance to minor mechanical damage, its service life after application will be limited to a few weeks. We cannot hide the fact that most compositions from leading manufacturers fully meet these requirements. But do not jump to conclusions buying the first-hit anti-cer. First, you need to understand their varieties and key features. Types. Since literally every vehicle owner needs a high-quality anti-corrosion treatment of the car body, he should think about the correct choice of a suitable composition. All anti-corrosives available on the modern market can be divided into external and internal. One is used exclusively in the treatment of metal on the inside of the car body. They are less resistant to external influences and therefore cannot be used outside. External anti-cers are used more often, because they allow you to protect the most vulnerable areas of the body on the bottom of the car. Therefore, it is necessary to assess the condition of the car, check all metal surfaces, and find problem areas. Based on where the rust has already appeared, or where it is about to appear, is selected the appropriate suitable anti-sur. In general, experts divide all means into 3 categories: bituminous, wax, molecular, the newest. It is worth talking about them separately to make certain conclusions about each type. Bituminous mastics are used most often because they are perfectly suited for car body treatment and have excellent properties and characteristics. When applied to the surface, a bitumen film is formed, which is characterized by a highly effective waterproofing property. Serves for working with open areas. Specialists advise to pay attention to several types of bituminous mastics. Slate, an ideal solution for the underbody, as well as the outer surfaces of the wheel arches. Rubber bitumen multi-component mastics capable of creating an effective protective layer and preventing mechanical damage. A distinctive feature of rubber bitumen mastics is their resistance to extreme temperatures. Some compositions retain their efficiency and performance even at 60 degrees Celsius. Bitumen rubber can be used for processing on the external and internal sides. Are distinguished by excellent elasticity and strength, which allows the film to not collapse for a long time. The car owners themselves advise to choose mastics only from proven manufacturers. The assortment in the car market is really huge, and therefore it is quite difficult to stop your choice on something specific. The most reliable and effective bituminous mastics produce the following firms. Valvoline. They have a product called Tectile Anti-Corrosion. There are 3 generations of composition, each of which has its own advantages. The 3rd generation is the most modern, consisting of special mixtures with the use of zinc. Dinitrile. Swedish Anti-Corrosion, which is available in 2 versions. One is designed to work with external surfaces and is labeled with the letter CAR. The second type, labeled ML, is used for internal metal surfaces. Mercosol, also Swedes, and also with division into Anti-Corrosion for internal, ML, and external, AL, metal surfaces. HB Body. Bitumen rubber, high-quality mastic with the addition of synthetic resins. It is in high demand due to its excellent efficiency and adequate price. On this, choice for car owners is not limited, but the presented compositions have managed to win the trust of specialists and ordinary motorists. Wax composition's paraffin base has certain advantages, but mainly until the initial liquid composition dries. It includes solvents, which after application evaporate, creating a protective layer on the surface. But the anti-corrosion efficiency of wax compositions is much lower compared to mastics. They are not designed for a long service life, poorly adhere to the metal, and also have insufficient mechanical strength. But still, wax anti-corrosions are in demand on the market. They are used in the treatment of paint surfaces and bare metal. Of the manufacturers, the following can be distinguished. Read also how to choose the right anti-corrosion agent for the treatment. Of the bottom of the car, Belgian and Swedish companies that have managed to create wax anti-coatings of really decent quality. It is not worth putting serious hopes on them when treating the underbody, but they will cope with easier anti-corrosion tasks. Molecular, they are also often referred to as the newest anti-corrosives. Such compositions have their own important feature. As you already know, when mastic is applied to the surface, a strong protective layer is formed, shielding the metal from corrosion. Mastics are designed to protect against mechanical damage and the appearance of new defects. Wax mixtures form a film, but they do not penetrate inside. Therefore, if there is a corrosion center under the wax layer, rust will develop and spread further. To combine the advantages of the 2 competitors, but get rid of their disadvantages, the company from Canada has created a unique anti-corker. It can penetrate metal surfaces at the molecular level, creating a stable layer of insulation, the composition of which is hydrocarbons. Full-fledged solidification, as in the same mastics, does not occur here. We should not forget about the most popular in Russia and CS countries, Movil, with its highly effective protective properties, as well as anti-gravel, which can reliably protect the bottom from damage from small stones and other solid debris flying from under the wheels. Recommendations for treatment. Let's say at once that there are no universal instructions according to which the treatment of the bottom and other surfaces of the Car with Anti-Corrosion with their own hands. Here, the car owner should be guided by the instructions of the manufacturer, whose products he purchased to work with the metal of the vehicle. But practice clearly shows that the technology of the process of processing the body with anti-corrosive mastic and other compositions. For the car has a number of common features. These are extremely important rules, ignoring and non-compliance with which will lead to a significant reduction in the expected effect. Sometimes due to incorrect application of anti-Corrosion does not fulfill its functions at all, and the metal continues to suffer from the activity of rust. Listen to these tips, and also be sure to strictly follow the recommendations of the manufacturer of the Anti-Corrosion, which you have. Given preference, the work should be carried out in an uninhabited place, despite the safety and environmental friendliness of the product. It is better to do it outside or in a garage, but with good ventilation. For convenience, use an inspection pit, since it will be uncomfortable to work with jacks. If you choose a garage, leave the gate open for better ventilation. It is almost always necessary to clean the surfaces to be worked on first. You need to get rid of dirt and debris particles that may have been left there. Dry the vehicle. Large dryers are used in workshops. If you carry out the work in garage conditions, then just open the doors and give a little time for all the moisture to evaporate. In hard-to-reach places where you also plan to apply anti-corrosion, use a hairdryer. Carefully examine all metal surfaces that could potentially show signs of damage. Even small scratches can result in the development of rust throughout the body. It is recommended to start treatment under certain conditions. The ideal humidity is considered to be no higher than 60%. As for the air temperature, it is recommended to work between 10 and 25 degrees Celsius. Each antifoulant has a specific service life, which is often limited to 6 months. Therefore, check the dates on the cans. If the anti-corrosion compound is not fresh or is about to expire, it is better to change it. To treat the arches and underbody of a passenger car requires about 4-5 cans of anti-corrosion. On average, 1 liter goes to 1 square meter. Apply the product consistently, carefully, and evenly. Do not rush and do not skip even small areas. In this way, you will guarantee a high quality of application and avoid the formation of bubbles. Always apply anti-corrosion to pre-cleaned surfaces, and not only from debris and dirt, but also traces of rust. For this purpose, special solvents capable of destroying traces of corrosion are used. It is recommended to degrease the surface. In garage conditions for such purposes, standard white spirit is usually used. It is inexpensive, but perfectly copes with its tasks. First, the treatment of hidden cavities and heavily accessible areas of the body of your car is carried out. The applied layer should be at least 250 microns. Here look at the manufacturer's recommendations, because the thickness of the applied layer is different for everyone. The thickest layers are used for mastics and anti-gravel compounds. Allow the vehicle to dry. Different products require a certain amount of time to fully cure. To avoid risk, do not touch the vehicle for 24 hours after the treatment has been completed. Leave the car in the garage for this period. There is nothing technologically complicated in anti-corrosion treatment. Here it is required to follow some important rules, adhere to the recommendations of anti-corrosion manufacturers, and use only high quality and fresh compositions. If the car was recently bought in the salon, the first anti-corrosion treatment can be carried out in 2 to 3 years after purchase. It is better not to risk and not to check whether the factory anti-Corrosion will withstand the stated warranty period. Further, the procedure is repeated every 3 to 5 years. Periodically check the condition of the metal, which will allow you to react in time to the signs of rust. In conclusion, proper preparation and treatment of your vehicle with anti-corrosion compounds are essential steps in ensuring its longevity and performance. By following the outlined procedures, including thorough cleaning, surface inspection, and the application of high-quality products, you can effectively protect your vehicle from the damaging effects of rust and corrosion. Remember, investing time and effort into this process not only enhances the aesthetic appeal of your vehicle, but also preserves its value over the years. Stay proactive in your maintenance routine, and your vehicle will thank you for it. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.